Elevate does have the first pick. That means they have the first ban as well. So SB's got to wait a minute, and Terra will be the first god taken away.
Not a surprising option for Elevate to take this away. Their support player, Kenshin, is going to be looking for a lot of other alternatives here. Fafnir is going to be probably heavily prioritized in the SCL, trying to get off a lot of objective control. Strictly Business, however, doesn't have to worry about that since Elevate bans it out.
Yeah, pretty standard bans coming here. We've really seen the meta from the PC world and the console world kind of combine and coalesce into the same damn thing. Everybody's just got to be afraid of Fafnir, Chang'e, Karnanos, Terra, but that leaves Osiris for the selection. Not yet locked in, but Elevate certainly given a thought about this. This guy has just destroyed the solo lane lately.
Osiris and Bologna have been managing to just do absolute devastation in that solo lane between their auto attack cleaves being an absolute nuisance because of the sustain that they get from the Death's Toll, which is why in Season 4 a lot of players have been prioritizing these AoE in-hand gods in that lane.
Yeah, very, very powerful with the sustain, and there it is, Osiris and Bologna. I expect to see a lot of these gods. They're just very, very powerful at the moment, and Bologna will be paired up with a Susanoo, a character that actually got knocked down a peg, but is still very, very strong.
Despite the Hydra's Lament nerf not being able to proc off of every strike out of Stormkata, the ultimate being nerfed ever so slightly in terms of the Vortex pull effect, Susanoo still provides that initiation that you want. A lot of mobility and a lot of opportunity to pull somebody into your team.
Khepri and Thoth guy are going to be selected here for Elevate next to the Osiris. Thoth is a character that I feel like can run the game if allowed, but doesn't always. Baronic here on the Thoth, he likes to play gods like Ra and Hebo. We're used to seeing him play these super burst mages. Thoth fits right on in there in his god pool, and I've really liked what I saw out of Thoth so far, him so far.
And with Khepri having a lot of control between his root and abduct, that's enough time for Thoth to get off a lot of damage, even channeling that final judgment for those huge damage numbers in the late game. But Strictly Business going to respond with a Jingwei before the secondary ban phase, banning out Hu Yi against Michael Checo.
So the Jingwei was a character that disappeared as soon as her Fatalis effect was sort of taken away. Why is she coming back?
Honestly, it's about the safety in the laning phase. If you're going to leave your hunter alone in a 1v1, 1v2 situation, just put it on the Jingwei, because even if she does get poked out and get bullied out of the lane, she'll get back very quickly with that passive.
Zhang Kui going to be banned here away from SB, their mid laner. Shaliber really loves the Zhang Kui. He's a character that comes out when you're watching Shaliber or Chaos in the PC world. Cloud likes to play him, and then everybody else is kind of just, I mean, why would you pick him? So he winds up being a very personal pick, but on those specific players, he's a force to be reckoned with. So we see the Scylla band out next to the Zhang Kui. Sylvanas will be selected for SB, meaning the mid lane will have the last selection.
The last pick for Shaliber. Sylvanas for the Chillvanas out of Strictly Business to respond to Elevate, locking in Robin. They already have the Osiris, and that's going to be a lot of early game aggression. Now the question remains of which one's going to be solo, which one's going to be jungle. More than likely in Season 4, we've seen a lot of Robin in the jungle, so that's probably the option for Elevate.
Yeah, exactly. I'm expecting as much. Michael Checo will bring out his Cupid. I think Cupid's a great choice next to the Susanoo and even the Jingwei. And the Kukulkan will be the mid selection for the guys on Strictly Business. This is a guy that does a lot of burst damage. We've seen him come in and out. He never really is a bad character. He just is. There are usually other picks that wind up being better than him.
I would agree, but it has great synergy with the rest of the composition from Strictly Business, especially trying to lock down this Khepri that's going to be either reviving himself or a teammate. You could just drop a tornado wherever you expect that revival to be, or even the Spirit of the Nine Winds just absolutely devastating everyone else.
So right now, you were correct. We will be seeing the jungle Robin on Dr. L. What do we expect out of this guy?
Well, considering he's going for the early game Sunder, he's probably looking for an early game First Blood, somewhere along the lines of the mid lane, but we haven't seen this kind of proxing in forever. I love this idea, Nickwood. He has teleport, so he can go back to his soul lane, and Fatal Ghost, obviously having that Jingwei passive, no problem at all for him either.
Yeah, so they're going to proxy all the way by the Phoenix, which opens up the entire jungle pretty much to anybody that really wants to walk in there. There's the teleport, bringing the Bologna all the way to the right-hand side of the map. And as you said, the Jingwei can pretty much do the same, but chooses not to, and instead just walks up into the enemy's jungle and picks up the red.
This is something that we saw at the beginning of Season 4 once the jungle timers got changed ever so slightly, trying to figure out the best starting ground for your jungle mid and everyone else else involved, and a lot of teams would proxy between Tier 1 and Tier 2, and then there was some experimentation to proxy between the Phoenix and Tier 2, and to see it here in the console scene is very refreshing.
Look at Fatal just getting aggressive, taking Michael Checo down to below half. He's going to get hit by the minions and the abilities. Fatal Ghost can't find the basics, and so Michael Checo stays strong in lane. And of course, the Cupid has the built-in sustain thanks to the beans, or well, he's not playing the bean skin. He'll have the hearts. I always call them the beans.
The beans?
Yeah, he's got that skin, the Hindu man skin, where he tosses out the beans instead of hearts.
Oh, okay. I thought you were making like a Mr. Bean reference for whatever reason, but Shaliber
looking like Mr.
Bean. A lot of damage from Dr. L. That's the pure aggression that you're expecting out of this Robin jungle. Already expended the Sunder. It's going to get chased out a little bit by Fatal Ghost, but with Toth right around the corner, with Kenshin on the Capri, going to get out of danger.
I like that play by Pironic. He throws out the window and just shoves one or two spells through it, just saying, hey, if you do want to follow my Robin, you're going to get hit by Thoth nonsense. So everybody has to be careful and forced to retreat there. A lot of unpunished, just very aggressive moves coming out from both sides of the coin here.
But it's still a 2-game set, despite the crazy early game start coming out of Strictly Business with that proxy farming between their Bellona and Jing Wei action. There still can be some necessary adjustments from Elevate, despite it being in this game or the next.
Yeah, I mean, Strictly Business didn't exactly win the game off of that proxy. I mean, they were able to invade the enemy jungle, pick up the early red and purple, I think, but that's about it. You're not really seeing any giant lead. I mean, if you take a look at the gold here, SB is up, what, 200 gold, if that, 127. So the proxy, I liked it. I think it was effective in what they wanted to do, but by no means is it something that Elevate has to stop next game, otherwise they lose.
I mean, currently not necessarily, because there's not too much snowball coming out of the Bellona player. She did hit level 5 first compared to the Osiris, didn't really make a play off of it, could still look for some sort of action considering that the Osiris doesn't have that escape in Lord of the Afterlife, which would also give him that passive stacks of 16% physical damage mitigation.
Ooh, unfortunate for Michael Checo. A little inefficient there on the Cupid. Killing a minion that would have been killed by the Heart Bomb explosion, and then right there failing to really group up everybody and hitting all 6 with the Heart Bomb. I know I'm splitting hairs here, but when it comes to Cupid looking for the wave clear in a meta that isn't befitting to him, you really got to find all of those min-max opportunities.
Trying to go for the teamfight option with the Fields of Love cripple, sometimes you can't really control the way the wave is running at you. It's always going to be weird to see how the archer split against the melee minions, which is why Cupid relies very heavily on some supports to group up the wave for him to allow him to clear with one Heart Bomb.
Yeah, there's a number of ways to go about doing it. Either you step to the side, you actually hit the enemy, like we see Robin getting hit. Nice flank coming out of Nikwid, gonna get the stun, and there's the ultimate out of the Kugel Khan, but one better from Dr. L. That said, he only has one Kepri ult, and Reminisce falls to the wayside. First blood for Elevate.
Baronic with a nice final judgment. Delny's not done yet. He's gonna find Chilvanus just slipping. Kenshin credited with that kill. 2 free kills, I would say, coming out of Elevate. Surprisingly enough, the ultimate coming out of Shaliber, a little bit too premature, I would say. I thought he was going to wait to use that ultimate until the revival happened.
Yeah, just went a little bit too soon. Love the flank out of Nikwid, though.
Perfect.
You can assume that the Soul Laner is going to come to that team fight, but you can't know he's there until he jumps over the wall. He stayed hidden with his pathing, came right over the top, found the stun. Just a nice little play coming out from Nikwid that basically enabled not 1, but 2 kills there.
And Strictly Business now, despite that early game aggression here that they've been doing in that proxy farming, they need to figure out ways to extend this a little advantage that they have even further. Delny still doing a good job staying relevant despite not hitting level 5 first. Those 2 kills for Elevate was really crucial for him to get back into this laning phase.
Yeah, everybody needs a little bit of help here. The red buff? All right, it's going to go to Thoth. I wasn't sure if Michael Checo was going to take it. I mean, he's down about half a level to the Jing Wei. He's the Cupid. I would like to see the Hunter get it.
It depends on if you're looking to box or not. If you're not looking to really box against the other enemy Hunter, then why even bother going for the red buff, honestly? Sure. You're still going to clear the wave with 1 Heart Bomb. You don't necessarily need extra physical power, especially with Cupid that can easily clear the wave and have an exorbitant amount of sustain with his hearts.
Yeah, right there. He'll be able to get a whole bunch. That's a big part of the wave with the Heart Bomb. I like watching Cupid play. Really want to see some rotations once Cupid hits about level 9 or so and has that fully maxed heart bomb. I really want to see him make those rotations, slap people with the level 2 ultimate, hit them with the heart bomb, and then basically murder them in a team fight. That's when Elevate should really, that's when Elevate should really look for Gold Furies, in my opinion, because Cupid's control of that area is so incredible.
Which is why we saw Cupid being picked very late in the draft until Strictly Business had their god selected. Really trying to shut down Reminisced here, playing the Susano, because that cripple is going to shut down his potential to escape the action. Because normally a lot of Susanos, what they'll do is they'll jet stream into the action, look for the Wind Siphon to pull people out of position, and then Storm Kata them for the poke, and then for that third strike of the Storm Kata, use that to dash away. But if you're crippled under the Fields of Love, you're not going to have that dash opportunity to escape into safety.
Yeah, it's one of the big deals when it comes down to the cripple field. Just able to really control specifically assassins, who are the ones that wind up being players that need to be peeled. And so that allows Cupid to stay on the back line, 1, control the team fight, 2, peel for himself, essentially allowing Sylvanas to go ahead, or excuse me, allowing Kenshin to go ahead and take care of players like Baronic that are a little bit more squishy.
Looking at the relic options here coming out of Elevate, surprisingly enough, they don't really respect the control coming out of Strictly Business. 2 Aegis Amulets between both the mid laner and the Hunter, trying to really survive against the ultimate out of Shalibar. Also, a lot of damage over time from Chilvanis.
Yeah, exactly. There's not a lot of raw crowd control here, so beads are never wasted, but I think you'll just get more mileage out of an Aegis. You're not looking at, you know, a character like Thor on the battlefield. You're looking at Susano, who's going to have a pull, but you want to immune the damage after the pull. So, over the top comes an ultimate from Dr. L. Chilvanis in trouble. Rally here to try to prevent the kill, but it's too late. Oh, Baronic gets the kill on the Thoth guy. Now trying to find an escape for himself. He will do so. And Bologna being chased down, can't find it. 3 kills in total for Elevate. Fight gonna re-continue as it stopped for a brief moment, but Strictly Business kind of went back in.
Good peels, though, coming out of Elevate. The ultimate from Kenshin, just to give the movement speed for Dr. L, with his Mystic Rush being down to wrap things up in that team fight. Elevate walk away very cleanly with 1 kill. Now Nickwood going to get chased down a little bit further, but without the ultimate here coming from Delny, he doesn't really have to worry about too much if you're looking at Nickwood.
Just a little bit of damage coming out from the Osiris, 0, 0, and 2, but still half a level down despite having 2 assists there. That player damage, though, Bologna, that's the power of the bludgeon. When you're mixed up in those team fights and you just hit multiple gods, you wind up just slamming.
Amplifies it after every single god hit, and that's what's a really cool feature about Bologna's kit. Any ability that she uses has another way to augment off of her in-hands. You look at her 1, every single time you're finding multiple hits, you're stacking up the charges of the shield to absorb in-hands. The second ability, you hit multiple gods, the second part of the bludgeon starts to hit harder. And the third ability, obviously, every third hit of the Scourge gives you X amount of life depending what rank it is.
Just all about that healing and the sustain on the Scourge right there. And of course, don't forget, you're also going to be disarming folks when you hit them with the Scourge. Bologna's a really powerful character right now. But it's interesting. With all that stuff that we just mentioned about the kit, that's not what makes her first pick, first ban. It's really just the fact that she synergizes so well with the cleave opportunity due to her basics interacting with the Death Toll so well.
The thing about Bologna is she never really loses the lane with Death Toll, with her AoE enhance off of the bludgeon. Even if you stop her bludgeon, she will still continue to have those AoE cleave enhance, which makes her just very difficult to deal with in the early game.
Yeah, it reminds me of Guan Yu of old. It used to be a situation where you're gonna max the 3, the Tallow Assault, but if you run into a character that can really cancel it or whatnot, maxing your dash honestly wasn't too bad of an idea if you're trying to stay alive in that solo lane. So kind of amplified when you look at where Bologna's at. Nice pull coming out of Sylvanas, but that's it. You pulled Dr. L.
And going back off of the Guan Yu play that you were talking about, there's also other ways to get around it where you can actually dash through your opponent's stack, up all the minions on your opponent's archers, and then look for the Tallow Assault and force them into a weird spot.
Well, there's a different kind of assault. The Hug Bug into the damage over the top. Chilvana's just barely alive here. Dr. L might go for it, can't and won't. He'll stay safe in the jungle. But the rotation out of Fatal Ghost. It might be a problem for the jungler. There's help from Michael Checo, though. 1 kill for the Cupid as he drops the Fields of Love and drops the Susano.
The purification beads were used out of Reminisce, but I don't think he had any abilities available to escape the Fields of Love, taking just too much damage in that slow, crippling field.
That's also what's a lot of fun, is sitting there, because, you know, when you use the relic, it's one thing, but when you use the relic and you die anyway, it's kind of adds insult to injury, you know? And you see that a lot where the Cupid feels a love drop and you're like, look, I don't have a dash, but if I beads the slow, I might be able to get out of here. And then you just die. So that's kind of what happened to Reminisce, and just put salt to the wound that, yeah, he got my relic and my life. Just rough stuff.
Contributing to that kill, Baronic with his long-distance range from the top shots, whether or not it was his ultimate or his first ability, it just does a lot of damage once you drop down that wall.
Yeah, this character is very interesting because I feel, so in ranked play, I don't think Thoth can really carry a game by himself. He needs a lot of help from his teammates in order to do what he does, because he kind of just sits on the back and he's just a turret. He's just Mr. Tachanka. That's just what he does. But when you play him, when it comes to team fight, when it comes to team play in competitive, you have help from players like Kenshin that are going to be on the Kepri, from players like Michael Checo that can theoretically offensively peel with the Fields of Love. And so in this sense, where you have 4 players around you, I think Thoth can absolutely single-handedly carry a game.
I mean, you say that it's not a very good rank god, but honestly, all it takes is one final judgment to clean out 2 squishy targets in the late game.
Well,
Similar story with like Giannis's Through Space and Time.
So I wouldn't say he's not a good rank god. He just can't carry it by himself. You can't log in, pick Thoth, and win the game by itself, whatever your side lanes are doing. You're going to get ganked. It's the mid lane. Maybe I just hang out with aggro too much.
Maybe.
And hear all the horror stories.
Maybe, actually. That could be the case. You might be onto something there, Tom, but either way, Thoth does have pretty good escapes as well. Obviously, the dash distance gets increased through the wall as well, so a lot of defensive and offensive capabilities for this mid-mage.
I love the way Kenshin plays here. I mean, he sees that Dr. L's getting in trouble. One, he knows that he's a Robin, so he's not going to be in immediate trouble. So he doesn't get baited into popping the ultimate early, but he drops the root and throws this Rising Dawn out, just making sure any damage is going to be mitigated. Just nice instincts coming out from the long-time support player.
Gold Fury was leashed by Elevate for a little bit, but with everyone from Strictly Business around the corner, the teleport even being invested by Nickwood, just deterring everyone else away. Michael Checo looking for a little bit of a boxing exchange as Dr. L is forced to retreat. Sunder coming out onto Sylvanas, finding the abduct, but not much further.
And there's going to be the ultimate out of Sylvanas, and the retreat from Elevate. Really nice win, being able to force out that Wrath of Terra.
Yes, and that's going to allow the rest of Elevate to start grouping up, not have to worry about this huge crowd control coming out of Sylvanas, which could have easily set up Shalibar for that Tornado and Spirit of the Nine Winds combo.
Yeah, I mean, I won't call that a mistake. Sylvanas was just in a bad spot. Now he's in a worse spot with Osiris with the front flip coming over the wall. Sylvanas and his Hunter also very low, and he's just getting chased down. Fatal Ghost is actually able to turn around on Dr. L, and Delny can't find the kill. The Osiris by himself pushed up front, and his teammates, they're not getting the Gold Fury. Strictly Business is doing the business. They get the kills on both sides. Fatal Ghost with a double kill on top of his kill of the jungler. Incredible play coming out from Fatal Ghost.
3 for 1. Nice zoning from Delny, but he might have zoned a little bit too long and too hard. He didn't really help out his backline. Checo falling, Dr. L, and Baronic, only finding Sylvanas in the process.
That's a communication error. Well, that's a communication error in my eyes. I feel like Delny didn't know that his team was just getting smoked off the Gold Fury. Because, I mean, any solo laner is going to have to fall back. There's no way, you know? And also, the fact that the players up north had 10% HP or less, Delny is angry at himself for a myriad of reasons right now. He's a better player than that, and he knows it.
Absolutely. He even absorbed the full Typhoon, a full Tornado coming out of Shalibar, popped the Thorns, almost killed Shalibar with the Thorns, by the way. That would have been quite a sight to see.
The problem is, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. I don't care if it's almost. It's not doing it. And that was the biggest problem. There was a lot of almost there for Elevate. That was their fight. I mean, honestly, did it all go awry simply because the solo laner wasn't with everyone?
Honestly, they just needed to be grouped, yes. Whether or not the Soul Lane was too far away or whether or not everyone else was too far away, they needed to be on that same page. Gold Fury was the bigger objective picture. Delny, we saw it on the camera, so it's obvious to blame the finger at him, but at the same time, you got to look at everybody.
I really like that you painted it that way, because at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, the problem was that y'all weren't together. You can point left or right, but the middle is the issue. And so it's kind of 50-50, everybody on the team kind of picking up fault. And honestly, take that one to your games at home. That's usually the situation where, yeah, I mean, maybe they could have rotated, but maybe you could have warded.
I can't tell you how many times in my rank games that my jungler will just be diving 1v4, and then he'll just be screaming out, "Where are you guys?" And I'm like, there's our mid mage is doing red buff. I'm chilling in the Soul Lane. You going to him, boy. You need to peel it back.
Listen, man, why do you got to bring up my play? Why you gotta bring up my play?
I mean, just because you hit a really nice blink Naja ult doesn't mean that we're all just gonna magically appear to follow up.
Listen, this is why I like, and you know what? It works out with these two jugglers here, Reminisce and Dr. L. When it comes down to the jungle position, there's just something about wanting to achieve that flash. You want that. You want to be on the highlight reel because your characters, your assassins, are usually the type of characters that can do that sort of thing. Solo laners as well. You're usually so far ahead that you want to take the 1v3 because you can do it. But the problem is, if you want to successfully play, you got to reel yourself back in and really find yourself coming back together with the team. That's why the team fight went awry for Elevate and Delny on the left side. And, you know, we got to see him as the game continues really peel himself back and help out the squad as a unit.
Reminisce forced to run away from Dr. L. More boxing matches between these Soul Laners. Nickwood getting the slight better end of it, having a little bit more physical defense here still. Shaliber caught in a bad spot.
Oh, he's just done. Something hit him for 80% of his HP. Out of this world damage coming out from Dr. L, who's got to find a way out, and he's going to find a way out by way of his support, but it's too late. No, just in time. Quick thinking coming out from the jungler, killing himself on the Fire Giant. Michael Checo trying to find an exit on the right-hand side, able to heal himself up and find safety under the tower, while the rest of Strictly Business is being chased out north side. Delny here, again, 1v2, low HP, has to fall back. He's going to run into Fatal Ghost.
Fatal Ghost is full health, finds the knock up. The pull from Chillvanus is good. Agility being used just to amplify some damage. And yet again, Delny too far away from his teammates.
Yeah, that one was an issue. Last time we said, okay, you can sort of split it. It's everybody's fault. That one was strictly Delny's fault. He does get out of there if Chillvanus doesn't hit the fantastic pull for what it's worth. But even still, just rough positioning coming out from Delny.
Something needs to be changed here moving forward in this first game of the set if Elevate is to respond with a victory here. And the Osiris first pick coming out of Elevate, not really showing us why it's so heavily prioritized, considering Delny loves the Bologna instead.
See, I feel the opposite way. I feel like Delny is showing us why the Osiris is so popularly picked to a fault. He knows how good the character is. He knows how tanky he is naturally thanks to that passive. 16% damage reduction against physical, right? He knows that he's super tanky, and so he's getting carried away by walking too far away.
But that spring land, all he was playing was Bologna every single game. So I like the idea and the fact that they're switching things up in general. But this game, it's clearly been the case of the Bologna just being able to not necessarily overextend too far as opposed to Delny playing this Osiris.
Yeah, I'd like to see Delny kind of reel it in. He's a great player on that Bologna, like you said, and I think he's exactly how I said it before. I think he's doing fine on the Osiris. He just feels like he's stronger than he actually is, and so he's walking these 1v4s, these 1v3s, and unfortunately kind of coming up short and not really able to pull off what he's attempting to pull off in earnest.
Different option of itemization between these two junglers here. Going for the Masamune out of the Dr. L. Robin here, as opposed to the Heartseeker here coming out of Reminisce with the Hydra's Lamez doing a lot of burst damage in these shots, whereas Dr. L, he's going to be much tankier here, and for a good reason. Whenever you're playing the Robin, you have so many different escape options between your overhead kick, your Mystic Rush, giving you damage reduction, and the gap closer, and then you also have that root for the healing and to lock people down in place.
Yeah, there's a lot of tools on that Robin. Nice stun to really stop what Sylvanas was doing, who had a fantastic pull on Delny before, surrounded by the opposition, and Strictly Business is also going to waste one of their bigger tools, the Kukulkan ultimate. Shaliber completely off the money, and now that means Elevate can really fight into this if they choose, but they're all, surprise, spread out.
Oh, from the side, Eagles rally by Nickwood, catching out 3 members, but no one else from his team is too close to follow up. The tornado from Shaliber off the mark, but Michael Checo having to retreat under the tier 1 tower. Even the Scarab's Blessing being used just for good measure.
One more tick would have killed him, and since Kenshin can't see the debuffs on his teammates, he's got to just better safe than sorry, right? Throws the ultimate out there. Dr. L versus the world. He might actually come up with a kill here. Sylvanas very low. There's Delny with the flank. That's why Dr. L falls back. Delny now looking for more by himself on a Shaliber. Aegis used. Slows, basics. Baronic gets the kill. Now Delny gonna fall down. Reminisce with credit on that one, but Delny did start this team fight. Bologna grabbed. Bologna smoked. Dr. L puts number 9 on the board, and because of that team fight, Elevate have the Gold Fury in their sights.
This is what happens when you group up. Delny sacrificing himself for 3 members out of Strictly Business. This time around, Elevate is going to grab their first Gold Fury of the game, keeping things relatively close.
That's the same play that happened so many minutes ago that we complained about, except his teammates were
right there.
Right there. They were able to make that rotation. Delny goes in one, well, actually, Dr. L goes in 1 versus the world. Delny capitalizes, and then the rest of the team comes after the fact. Earlier, it was just Delny versus the world, and nobody was close enough to go ahead and respond. Understanding map vision. When we talk about map awareness, everybody says, yeah, man, I warded the path to the jungle out of the mid lane. I know where the enemy is, but knowing where your teammates are is also a part of map awareness, that time executed to perfection.
Coordination and communication coming out of Elevate, resulting in a net worth win. With that 3-for-1, with that Gold Fury, they're extended their lead ever so slightly. They've been behind in the experience department for quite a while, but now bringing things back up to contention here, trying to stay inside this first game here. They were behind a little bit, but now 22 minutes of the game, everything else that happened beforehand doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it's a reset. All tied up at 22.5 with 14 kills and Elevate owning 9 of them. Honestly, Elevate had the better beginning to the game. The early game belonged to Elevate, but a couple of just mistaken team fights that we've been talking about. Strictly Business were able to really pull their way into it, and I use that terminology very, very particularly. Sylvanas has been a big part of what has allowed SB to really do what they've done. Strong pulls and strong ultimates have been very important for SB in this match, but as soon as Elevate are able to make Sylvanas sort of use his ultimate preemptively or whatnot, then they can engage and they can take advantage and win the team fight.
It's not only the control being provided out of Sylvanas playing the Sylvanas, but you're looking at Fatal Ghost on the Jingwei, 3rd on the top of the player damage chart, having 4 of the 5 kills from his teammates, even going for a Death's Toll, trying to survive against the Thorns coming out of the Osiris, and what's looking to be probably a height of Nemean line shortly after.
Yeah, he's been able to do work. I like that he isn't afraid to really build his own build or whatnot, but he's cleaning up. And I don't say that negatively. People usually say, oh, he's just getting the last hits on the kills, right? As a sort of knock at the Hunter player, but honestly, one, that's not a bad rap. Just making sure they're dead is very, very good, and you're able to just slowly pick off these players towards the end of the team fight. Sure, man, I have no qualms with that. He's not exactly going to be the star on the highlight reel anytime soon, but he's absolutely doing his job as the Hunter, and you can't take issue with it.
Baronic finding a stun onto Sylvanas, poking him out a little bit. Nice little double pull from Reminisce. Going to avoid some of these pot shots from Baronic. Both Jingwei and Robin making their rotation now back into this team fight, utilizing that passive for Fatal Ghost, allowing him to get there slightly quicker, but still neither team wanting to fully commit around this Fire Giant, because this is the late game phase where if you lose again 3-for-1, that next objective is going to be more than the Portal Demon. It's going to be that Fire Giant.
It's also really interesting the way that itemization has impacted the true meta, the actual way you play the game here. Portal Demon going to be aggressed on Delny, trying for the steal, and he gets it! Delny combining with the Hunter and Dr. L, snatch away the Portal Demon from SB. SB. They're going to walk away. Fatal Ghost is on his last legs, but he'll walk his way home. Different story for Nickwood, surrounded by Elevate. There's the shot through the wall from Baronic, only hitting the support.
Baronic taking a little bit of poke as well, forcing a lot of members from Strictly Business out of the Fire Giant Cave. Michael Checo very healthy down the mid lane, and with that 750 gold for Elevate, they're able to even take that portal after taking all this poke to regroup in the mid lane, trying to get some more map control as the Golfier is about to respawn in 1 minute.
Only two people playing defense here. That's going to be Elevate's tower, clean and clear. I wanted to finish this thought because I wanted your take on it as a classic solo leader. Michael Checo, yeesh, not going to let me talk about it. Getting a little aggressive, 1v4. I don't know if that's the move you want to make as a Cuban, although he is pulling people into this hallway, which is just devastation if he wants to drop his ultimate. But not going to be the case. He's able to retreat and look for the Gold Fury. Everybody's got a mystical mail. You can't fight too close to the Fire Giant anymore.
That's true.
You used to fight right in that puddle.
Pulling the Fire Giant can make things more chaotic than it needs to be, because not only do you have to worry about the team fight, now you have to worry about the mechanics out of the Fire Giant. After every 2 hits of the Fire Giant, that third strike is going to be that line hit, and before the line actually commits to executing, you're also going to be slowed walking over it, so it makes it a lot easier for the Fire Giant to find the knockup, especially when you're not paying attention to it.
And you know, that's the hard part. When the Fire Giant's throwing meatballs at you, those hit for 200 each.
Yeah.
And you know, that's one of the hard parts here, is that you want your front line that literally to be in front of everybody. So your solo leaders are doing the dance, but if they get too close to the actual Fire Giant, well, they pull him. So now you have to take where you usually fight right by that Fire Giant and move it closer to the lane where it's more problematic to fight because there's less open space. That alone changes how these engagements go on the right side. It's so interesting to watch it go down.
Despite that little small, not mistake, but like the small inconvenience for Mystical Mail, it still has great assets in these mid to late game team fights, trying to stick on these hunters. You're looking at both Delny and Dr. L with these Height of Nemean Lions trying to dive that backline onto Fatal Ghost, making it more difficult for that Jingwei.
Yeah, it's that slow bleed, especially when applied to a character like Osiris. You're getting slowly ticked down. There's another pull from Chilvanus. He knows that Dr. L, so he's going to be able to get out of there with the immunity thanks to the overhead kick, but just showing him that he's got it. Listen, man, I'm going to pull you every time.
Trying to find the abduct onto Nickwood, not on the mark, but Nickwood caught in a bad spot. Around 5 people, forced to go into the Eagles rally. Mystic Rush commits under the Bologna Sole. Nice little Typhoon trying to keep Nickwood alive, but Delny's going to be able to chase that one down.
That was, I mean, Nickwood, he got the wrong invitation. He showed up to the party, but it was the other team. 1 versus 5. That had to have been a miscommunication. Nobody jumps in to the entirety of the enemy team by themselves.
No, he just got caught slipping there, unfortunately. The rest of his teammates not eager enough to really assist him, and that's going to result in Elevate's second Gold Fury of the game. Reminisce trying to get out of danger here.
There's the shot, lined up, off the mark.
Aegis was used, though, so still a small marginal victory here for Elevate. Longer cooldown on that Aegis amulet as opposed to Final Judgment.
28 minutes on the clock here. 10-5. Elevate have 2/3 of the kills in this match, and they're up one more time, 4,500. They kind of owned the early game. Then SB really took over in that mid to that early late game. Honestly, thanks to just nice control out of Nickwood and Chilvanus, but then SB just kind of drop it.
Elevate's the more experienced team here, and it's definitely showing in these mid-game phases, because there's always these 3 different mindsets that you have to worry about throughout any game in the SPL or SCL, the beginning, middle, and late game. You can have different kinds of focuses. You have to always make sure that you're winning your laning matchup, you're making the necessary rotations for when the Gold Furies go down, and then the late game positioning is where the most focus has to happen, because one little misstep, you die, that respawn timer is just going to last a little bit too long to allow teams to start getting some of these very important objectives.
Yeah, I mean, you kill somebody at 1 minute, they're down for a handful of seconds, 7, 8 seconds, they're able to come back, and really, you don't gain anything off of it except for a little bit extra farm from where they're not at. But you kill somebody at 30 minutes while they're down for 60+ seconds. That's at least a Gold Fury.
Kenshin got pulled in. The ultimates between Shaliber and Chilvanus finding the kill. And now it's going to be a 5-on-4 for Strictly Business as Nickwood uses his Eagles Rally.
40-second timeout for the support player there as he gets taken down. Elevate Dr. L also going to be sitting for about 50 now. And these are the longer death camp timers that we're talking about. They just got to sit out, and it's going to give Strictly Business the number advantage, and because of that, Elevate can't really dance into this. Elevate had wrestled control of the game back, but SB are at least going to get a portal demon here.
Well, going to get themselves 750 gold. A little risky if they wanted to try to go for the Fire Giant, considering the ultimate from Shalibar is down. However, Baronic invested into that final judgment as well, so it's going to be even playing ground as to which team is going to secure that objective.
Yeah, I would have liked to see the the Fire Giant be taken if there was a Kukulkan ultimate, but with it down, I was a little afraid. They're actually going to go for it after the fact, which is even more dangerous, totally. But looks like there's a hard commit. Delny jumps into 3, and now they're looking to control the Osiris. Fire Giant has been leashed, and Nickwood looking more for the solo than anything else. The jump away is good. There's that repull from the Fire Giant we were talking about. Mystical Mail activates it and takes out Delny.
Up and down, Eagles rally, forcing Michael Checo out of the action. Jetstream just to follow up. The Storm Cut not going to find it as Kenshin uses that Scarab's Blessing. But this bought enough, Delny bought enough time for the rest of his teammates to revive. Dr. L is here now alongside the rest of his teammates. Now Michael Checo trying to get back into the base, but he did his job. He sacrificed himself to make sure Strictly Business didn't get that Fire Giant.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not saying he did anything wrong by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just we talked about it and it literally happened. Delny gets out of there if he doesn't suffer that last hit from the meatball, from the Fire Giant.
Yeah.
If Mystical Mail doesn't pull the Fire Giant, Delny lives. But either way, he does his job.
The funny thing is that Strictly Business had the aggro of the Fire Giant, but because they leashed it and reset it onto Delny, that forced the Fire Giant to be like, hey, I'm going to hit you now.
Yep. Hey, it's me, Fire Giant.
I'm here. What
Shalibar,
up?
he's not there any longer. Number 11 for the team. Elevate, Baronic able to capitalize, and Nickwood looking for Baronic on the back line. Here's Kenshin just waiting for his cooldowns to come up. When will they come up? It doesn't matter. There's the peel coming out from the Cupid that we mentioned so long ago. Nickwood's going to get hit by the Heart Bomb, narrowly avoiding the route out of Kenshin, but he can't avoid the Abduct. Long shot from Baronic, close shot from Checo. They combine to take out the solo.
Still in position in this team fight, despite having 25% health. Nice try from Reminisce, but didn't want to commit with that third strike of the Storm Kata. Really respecting the peels coming out of Elevate.
Delny again, losing some HP thanks to Mr. Fire Giant.
Ooh, unfortunate route. Unfortunate route from Kenshin that didn't allow Delny to hit that Lord of the Afterlife, but either way, still credited with that kill. 3 members dead, as Shalibar just now reviving, so it's going to be a 3-on-5 for another 20 seconds. Nickwood still trying to find the revive, but even when he does come back into the action, his teleport's not available.
Yeah, Fire Giant a little bit more comfortable here for Elevate this time around. Michael Checo and Kenshin, the only real players are really focusing on this objective, but it's kind of all you need. Michael Checo turns around, looks at Fatal Ghost, trying to find the Heart Bomb, does. See ya! That's a dead Jingwei. Dr. L forces to kill nice and early.
And the Heart Bomb even spreads to Shalibar, stunning him out, making it very easy for Delny and Dr. L to find the kill onto that mid-mage. So another 5-on-3. This time it's Fatal Ghost and Shalibar sleeping in the grave as the rest of Elevate gets this Fire Giant.
Cupid's going to be able to do a lot of work here. He's low on the player damage, totally. I say this from time to time. He's low on the player damage, but I feel like that 15,000 damage has all resulted in a kill. You like take a look at 25,000 from Jingwei, and a lot of people are escaping. She's 5-1 and 3, but where's the impact of that? Whereas Elevate, clearly, the Cupid making a little bit more.
And you also have to take into consideration the healing coming out of Michael Checo every time he throws out the hearts. And this healing number that you're seeing, 5.7k, this doesn't take into fact the self-healing that he gets from the hearts. So that's a big factor that he's basically not really doing 15,000 damage. It's more like negating some damage coming out of the Fatal Ghost.
Now, like you said, he's 5,700, and that's more than the Sylvanas without even taking into account what he's able to give to himself. So big stuff. And if you take a look at his items as well, he's not really building any lifesteal. He just has pure power and some of the attack speed given to him by his Fatalis. So really Cupid able to sort of have a large impact in this game, not just by way of damage.
Not at all here. No issues for Elevate as they're looking to try to close out the first game of the set. 35 minutes almost in the game. Elevate having almost an 8,000 gold lead, but with this Fire Giant here, still 4 towers remaining for Strictly Business. Once all those towers go down, that's going to be 5,000 gold going the way of Elevate.
So at the moment, Strictly Business are definitely not out of it. 7,000 gold, like you mentioned. You can totally fight into this one.
Sure.
Where do you fight? Do you fight on the tier 2 like it seems like SP wants to?
No, you have to fight on the Phoenix, but it's going to be Elevate forcing the issue onto Chilvanus, trying to get off some sort of peel.
Sleeping.
Wrath of Terror not going to be enough. Tier 2 tower falling, and with Chilvanus still dead for 40 seconds, this 5-on-4, the left side Phoenix, is going to be easy engage.
The more I'm watching this, the more I have a problem. You can't be Chilvanus. You got to be ready, Vanus. You got to be there, Vanus. You got to be mentally prepared, Vanus, not chillin', Vanus. And because of that, the front line for SB isn't there. Baronic's able to take out Reminisce because there ain't no front line, Anatoly.
Delny barely surviving with the sliver of health. Baronic finding that huge final judgment from a distance. Elevate looking so strong here at the second week of SCL action.
And teleport incoming, but it's going to be cut short. Baronic going to go ahead and retreat. Left Phoenix down for the count at about 34 minutes or so, 35 perhaps.
And if Chilvanus doesn't fall there, Elevate don't go for that Phoenix.
Not at all.
They're going to be going for other tier 2 towers, trying to extend their goal lead, and then eventually start chipping away at those Phoenixes. But getting caught out of position, the rest of his teammates did not really support Chilvanus. He didn't even get a chance to use any of his relics.
And you can't. And I think that was the right choice by Strictly Business, which is, honestly, you mentioned that they aren't the most practice team or established team. What's the word? Experience.
Sure.
I'm looking for. I apologize. And that's usually something you see out of the more accomplished teams, where they understand when to help their teammate or not. Usually the lower, less experienced teams always try to help the teammate. That situation could have been a loss of the game if everybody goes to help Chilvanus. Nice heads-up play by Strictly Business to realize sometimes you're out of position, you can't help the support in that situation. Look at the positioning of Chilvanus this time around. Much better. Further back, looking for a pull. If somebody goes too far, Wrath of Terror, root, follow up from the team.
But it's really difficult here because Baronic is firing from a far range here. One shot onto Shaliber!
He was there, and then he wasn't. Thoth Guy making it happen. 32,000 damage in total. Nickwood walks in with the heart bomb. Dr. L gets credit for him, but Chilvanus could be next. The front flip is good. Grabbed up Chilvanus. This one looks like it's going to Elevate.
Absolutely. 19-8 here. 37 minutes worth of action here. Elevate get the first game of the set.
19-8.